Upon reaching adulthood, every disciple of our beast-taming sect can choose a spirit beast to form a contract with. In my previous life, pitying the white tiger in the corner that was covered in wounds, I chose to form a contract with it out of compassion. Meanwhile, my junior sister seized the opportunity to contract the golden dragon that our master had specifically sought out for me. Unexpectedly, the golden dragon failed to advance even after 100 years. While the white tiger grew into a high-tier divine beast in just a few short years, later, on the day of its transformation, it even awakened the bloodline of the ancient divine beast Chungchi by chance, becoming the #1 divine beast of the beast-taming sect. But just as I was preparing to succeed as the sect leader, the white tiger I had raised with my own hands bit off my right hand. It wasn't until I collapsed in a pool of blood and asked for the reason that he finally revealed the truth. If it weren't for you, it should have been Xiaoxue who took me away that year. Under my junior sister's triumphant gaze, I finally understood the master he had truly favored was never me, but my junior sister Liu Ruxue. Given a second chance, I didn't spare another glance at the dying white tiger in the corner, turning instead to embrace the golden dragon that was rightfully mine. Not until my master, with tears streaming down his aged face, earnestly warned me never to engage with that white tiger did I finally understand. Turns out I wasn't the only one who had been reborn. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. Our center, Xiaoxue. Today marks your coming-of-age ceremony. According to the traditions of our beast-taming sect, each of you may now choose a spirit beast to form a contract with. The moment I opened my eyes, my master's authoritative voice rang in my ears. I stood frozen in place for a long moment before my gaze gradually focused on the elderly man with a benevolent smile sitting in the honored seat. With just one glance, I couldn't help but feel my eyes grow moist. I had been reborn. Reborn on this very day of my coming-of-age ceremony when I was to choose my contracted spirit beast. In my previous life, upon seeing the white tiger in the corner with its pleading, sorrowful eyes, I had softened, fearing it might perish from its severe injuries. I voluntarily gave up the golden dragon my master had specially sought for me and chose to contract with the white tiger instead. Meanwhile, my mediocre junior sister took advantage of everyone advising me to secretly take away that golden dragon. Unexpectedly, the white tiger quickly recovered under my care and rapidly advanced, becoming a high-level divine beast. On the day it transformed into human form, it even awakened the bloodline of the ancient divine beast Chungchi. Yet that seemingly majestic golden dragon of my junior sister appeared strong on the outside but weak within, showing no progress in strength for years. The disciples, already discontented with her secretly contracting the golden dragon, openly and covertly mocked her for a long time. In the end, the mediocre junior sister unsurprisingly faded into obscurity along with that golden dragon. But just when I thought my bond with the white tiger was deep, at the sect leader's succession ceremony, the white tiger suddenly turned violent. In front of all the clan elders and disciples, it bit off my sword-wielding right hand. When I collapsed in a pool of blood, I asked him why. The white tiger in human form stood beside my junior sister Liu Ruxue, his snow-white robes pristine as he cast an icy gaze toward me. His pitch-black eyes held not a trace of affection, only boundless irritation and disgust. If not for you, I would have left with Xiaoxue years ago. Now she wouldn't be dragging around a useless worm, becoming the laughingstock of everyone. Chen Center, did you think that all these years of you throwing pills and spirit stones my way would make me grovel with gratitude? Chen Center, you make me sick. Never did I imagine that giving him my whole heart would nurture such a treacherous beast, consumed by endless rage and pain. I bled to death, deprived of one last glimpse of the master who'd found me at the mountain's foot and raised me with such care. The heavens have eyes, granting me this chance to live anew. By Qi. Let's see whether that precious junior sister Liu Ruxue, the one you claimed was your soulmate, can mold you into the man you became in our past life. Now that I'm out of the picture, as soon as the master finished speaking, Liu Ruxue eagerly stepped forward, pointing at the barely surviving white tiger in the corner of the cage and declaring, "I want it." My junior sister had the delicate appearance of a willow swaying in the wind. At this moment, her small face was as pale as snow, her eyelashes slightly lowered as she put on a pitiful expression. "It's so pitiful," she pleaded. "Please, senior sister, let it come with me. I'll definitely heal it and make it a high-tier divine beast." It seems my junior sister has also been reborn, just like me. Liu Ruxue is not only vicious but also foolish. What she doesn't know is that in our previous life, Bai Chi recovered so quickly entirely because I spent vast amounts of elixirs and spirit stones to nurture it. Now, in this life, she wants to take Bai Chi before I can. Well, I'd like to see if this half-dead white tiger can truly grow into the majestic divine beast of the past life. Just as she hopes, I smiled faintly and was about to respond when my master cut me off. What's the hurry? Do you think your senior sister would compete with you for it? Asenta, look at this golden dragon. I specially went to the dragon clan to request it for you. You're destined to become the sect leader, and only this golden dragon is worthy of your status. The old man seated above couldn't maintain his stern demeanor any longer, leaning toward me while frantically winking. With a faint smile, I ignored Liu Rushua's gaze, a mix of mockery and envy, and stepped forward to bow respectfully to my master. Yes, master, this disciple obeys. Liu Rushua tightened her grip around the white tiger, and I couldn't help but feel a secret delight seeing the pained expression on its face. The white tiger whimpered submissively in her arms, prompting Liu Rushua to finally loosen her hold. She turned to me, her words dripping with sarcasm. Senior sister truly has remarkable skills, to earn such favor from our master that he wants to reserve all the best for you. But though the golden dragon appears strong now, who knows what the future holds? Perhaps senior sister should think carefully, lest you come to regret it later. I ran my fingers over the smooth scales of the golden dragon, tilting my chin up slightly as I retorted without hesitation. I grew up under master's care since childhood, achieved divine transformation at 18. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say I'm the most talented disciple in our sect. Junior sister joined at 10, yet she's still stuck in foundation establishment. I doubt she'll ever hope for divine transformation in this lifetime. It's only natural master favors me more. Who wouldn't prefer a disciple with both talent and diligence? After all, junior sister skips training 4 days a week. Unlike me, who rises before dawn to practice every single day. Watching junior sister's face pale then darken with anger, I felt a surge of satisfaction. In my past life, I'd always spared her pride by never mentioning the gap between us to her face. This time, since she's the one asking for trouble, I won't be so kind as to indulge her. What surprised me was that my master, who always loved to smooth things over, didn't stop me today. Instead, he stroked his beard and nodded incessantly. A rather absurd thought slowly rose in my mind. Could it be that master has also been reborn? Ignoring my furious junior sister, I took the golden dragon to see master. The little old man was sitting in his courtyard drinking tea, and when he saw me coming, he grinned from ear to ear. My little Ascenta is here. Come quickly to your master's side. I walked over and obediently crouched at his knees. This little dragon is named Jin Chen, the youngest son of the Dragon King. His father owed me a favor years ago, and since you're coming of age, I thought I'd snatch his youngest son to be your contracted beast. My master gently stroked my hair with affection. Our HN has grown into a young woman now, no longer the little child who clung to my leg throwing tantrums for candy when I first picked you up. My nose stung, tears nearly falling as I tried to act spoiled like in childhood, but my voice came out choked. Before master, HN will always be a child. Jin Chen has excellent talent, but the golden dragon lineage has special bloodline needs. To raise him properly requires rare spiritual treasures piled high. In your past life, never mind. Be good, HN. Master will help you raise Jin Chen well. Stop pining after that white-eyed tiger. My master's eyes reddened too. You're the child I raised. Having no biological children of my own, I've always cherished you as a daughter. HN, listen to your master. Stay away from that white tiger. Master, I'm not pining after it. I held my master's hand as I did in childhood and asked him, Master, have you also been reborn? My master looked shocked. You too. With my master's explanation, I finally learned that in my past life, after my death, my junior sister had relied on Bai Chi to ascend to the position of sect leader. However, my junior sister was mediocre in talent and unremarkable in ability, which bred much discontent within the sect. Who could have imagined that Liu Rushua and her accomplice would become so deranged? Any disciple who dared voice opposition would have their arms bitten off by Bai Chi and become fodder for the beasts in the back mountains. Back and forth, the more capable disciples all left the beast-taming sect under the pretense of gaining experience, while those who remained slightly less talented no longer dared to voice their opinions. Our beast-taming sect was ultimately destroyed by her. Thankfully, heaven has eyes, and you've returned. After bidding farewell to my master, I returned to my residence with the pile of rare treasures he had bestowed upon me. In my previous life, with the endless supply of elixirs and spirit stones I poured into him, Bai Chi's injuries healed completely within just a week, and he even broke through to become a high-level divine beast much earlier. In this lifetime, I want to see if the Liu Ruxue he's so fixated on choosing has the capability to support him to the same heights as in the previous life. Jin Chen is healthy and lively, always bouncing around energetically. The slippery little golden dragon's favorite pastime is hiding on roof beams, cabinet tops, or other concealed spots, then darting out with a whoosh when I pass by. Seeing me startled enough to lightly pat my chest, he'd then drape himself over my shoulder, nuzzling my cheek as if to make amends. Unlike Bai Chi's cold indifference toward me in the past life, Jin Chen clings to me tightly, insisting on being together whether cultivating or sleeping. Whenever I feel frustrated due to difficulties in my cultivation, he would press his tiny dragon head close, placing his adorable horns in my palm, his bright golden eyes always brimming with affection and adoration when he gazes at me. I no longer paid attention to Bai Chi and Liu Ruxue. Every day, aside from training, I focused solely on pampering my little golden dragon. The master was right. Unlike the scrawny little golden dragon from my previous life that Liu Ruxue had raised, with the constant feeding of heavenly treasures and earthly valuables by both me and the master, Jin Chen visibly thickened a whole size within just a month. I carved him a delicate pendant from fine jade, which he wore around his neck all day, flying about and shaking his head proudly to show it off to anyone he met. Jin Chen was quite domineering. Any junior disciple he caught who couldn't lavish at least 300 words of praise on that little pendant would inevitably get sprayed in the face by this little dragon. In just 1 week, I received 27 complaints. I couldn't stop laughing, tapping Jin Chen's head to make him settle down. Thinking back to my past life, the jade pendant I meticulously carved was casually tossed aside by Bai Chi, while that worthless stone Liu Ruxue randomly gave him was treasured and carried with him for 3 years. Truly, comparisons between people lead to death, comparisons between beasts lead to discarding. Smiling, I stroked Jin Chen's little horns. The little dragon, who had been playing with the jade pendant using his glittering golden body, looked up at me in confusion before quickly hiding the pendant beneath himself, that petty look of his as if afraid I'd take it back. You still know to hide it. If you bully junior disciples from the outer sect again, I'll take this jade pendant back. Little Long gave a few grumbling snuffles against my face before agreeing. Under my meticulous care, Jin Chen broke through to high-level divine beast rank in just 3 short months and was ready to undergo transformation. I personally selected the finest fabrics and gold threads, sending them to the weaving workshop to rush make a complete outfit. Along with premium spiritual artifacts, I placed them in a storage space for Jin Chen to carry, lest he suddenly transforms while outside and comes back stark naked. Jin Chen adored that outfit to bits, flaunting it to everyone he met just like he used to show off that jade pendant. Upon hearing the news, Liu Ruxue stormed into my residence with Bai Chi in tow, furiously demanding to know what trick I had pulled. Senior sister must have secretly cultivated some forbidden technique otherwise. How could that useless worm be on the verge of transformation so quickly? If you can't raise a spirit beast properly, then don't raise one at all. My Jin Chen consumes 10 high-grade elixirs and 7 bottles of divine dew daily, with a handful of high-grade water attribute spirit stones at every meal. Mid- and low-grade spirit stones and elixirs are just casual snacks for him. I provide only the finest in food, clothing, and necessities. Dragons are innately formidable, and A Chen is the Dragon King's youngest son. Nourished since conception with heaven and earth treasures, what's so surprising about him breaking through to the high rank in 3 months? I deliberately gave Liu Ruxue a disdainful once-over before letting my gaze settle on Bai Chi behind him. Junior sister's white tiger still hasn't fully recovered from injuries after 3 months, skinny as a kitten, probably never tasted anything decent. Bai Chi shrank back, hiding behind Liu Ruxue. The current Bai Chi was completely different from how he'd been when I raised him in my past life. He was extremely emaciated, his limbs not even as thick as the tip of Jin Chen's tail. His originally snow-white fur was matted in clumps, and the wounds from 3 months ago hadn't fully healed. There remained a crack on his back as long as my little finger, already festering with pus and maggots, looking utterly wretched. Seeing Bai Chi in such a state lifted my spirits so much that even Liu Ruxue's foolish face seemed slightly more tolerable. My words left Liu Ruxue flushed with shame. Unlike me, though she came from a family, her mediocre talent had always left her neglected. The monthly resources the sect distributed to disciples weren't even enough for her own needs. Where would she find spare money to care for a severely injured spirit beast? I, on the other hand, though an orphan, was treated by my master as his own child, receiving his support both openly and discreetly, coupled with my considerable strength. The rewards I earned from occasional missions outside the sect provided me with a substantial income. To put it bluntly, Bai Chi's survival until now is nothing short of a miracle. But what does that have to do with me? In high spirits, I took a sip of the spiritual tea. Senior sister truly has all the finest things here. Such exquisite spiritual tea. Had I not come to your place, I might never have even laid eyes on it. This spirit tea was last year's championship prize from the sect competition. If junior sister can't drink it, she can only blame her own lack of skill. I glanced at Liu Rushua standing there with a livid expression and nearly burst out laughing. Not everyone is worthy of drinking premium spirit tea. Liu Rushua and Bai Chi still refused to leave, growing slightly impatient. I was about to shoo them away when Jin Chen happened to return. The youth, clad in golden robes, rushed in excitedly, clutching a bouquet of colorful wildflowers. Sister, I'm back. I've successfully transformed. After his transformation, Jin Chen possessed an exceptionally handsome face. Liu Rushua's greedy gaze swept over his features several times. Having been through this ordeal, she seemed to recall Jin Chen's status as the young dragon prince, and her tone took on a fawning note. Ah, Chen is truly remarkable, transforming so quickly. Not like Bai Chi, that useless thing still hasn't made any progress at all. Jin Chen shoved the flowers into my hands before turning to size up Liu Rushua with a glance. Elder sister, who gave you permission to call me a Chen? Are we that close? Instead of wasting time trying to cozy up to me, why don't you focus on fattening up that white cat of yours? It's so skinny I could crush it with one finger. I noticed a growing resentment in Bai Chi's eyes and slightly furrowed my brows, pulling Jin Chen closer to my side. Past life experience taught me that compared to Liu Rushua, Bai Chi was the truly malicious one, betraying his master, disrespecting his sect, cold-hearted by nature, and cruel in his methods. In my previous life, he dared to kill me in front of everyone. In this life, who knows what underhanded tricks he might use against Jin Chen, though Jin Chen was powerful. He was straightforward and naive. If I didn't protect him, he might fall victim to Bai Chi's schemes. Fortunately, Liu Rushua had neither strength nor brains, and Bai Chi was like a sickly white tiger, probably incapable of stirring up much trouble. That day after Liu Rushua took Bai Chi away, the sounds of smashing and cursing from her residence were heard for a full half hour. A junior sister I was close with came to chat with me, saying that since that day, Bai Chi's injuries had worsened even more than before. Not only was there a gaping wound the size of a bowl on his back, but his left foreleg was also twisted and deformed, as if someone had smashed it with a heavy object, leaving him limping when he walked. As my junior sister spoke, her tone carried a hint of sympathy and regret. That white tiger was once considered the king of the mountain forests. How did he end up in such a state? I playfully flicked her forehead. Instead of worrying about other people's spirit beasts with all this free time, you'd better go check on your little Ching first. Green snakes aren't as tough as golden dragons. I'm afraid HN might be too rough and hurt little Ching. Sister, how can you say such things about me? Turning my head, I saw Jin Chen returning with little Ching in hand. The limp little green snake coiled around Jin Chen's arm immediately scrambled toward its owner, wailing as if calling for its parents. The junior sister also affectionately patted her little snake's head. Though she knew Jin Chen was genuinely helping to train Xiao Qing, she thanked Jin Chen and hurriedly took her spirit beast back home. After his transformation, Jin Chen inherited the striking looks of the dragon-clanned broad shoulders, a narrow waist, sword-like brows, and starry eyes. Yet, around me, he always acted like a child, hearing me whisper that he lacked restraint. He sulked and coiled his dragon tail around my waist in protest. How could you say that about me, sister? His golden hair was tied high, and as he buried his head in the crook of my neck, the soft strands lightly brushed against my cheek. His warm breath tickled my skin as he murmured in a tone laced with a hint of coquetry, "When have I ever been rough? Last night when I massaged you, didn't you feel quite comfortable?" Amused, I reached out to pinch his cheeks. Yes. I was talking nonsense. My HN knows best how to be gentle. He wrapped his arms around me from behind, resting his chin on my head and deliberately lowering his voice. Then as compensation, "Can I sleep with you tonight, sis?" Jin Chen paused, then added, "In human form, that is." Before Jin Chen could take human form, he loved curling up beside me to sleep, back when he was about to break through as a high-level divine beast and prepare for transformation. I had already cleared out a room for him next door. Who would have thought that on his first night after taking human form, He would stubbornly cling to my bed, refusing to leave no matter how much I tried to persuade him. Chen, now that you've taken human form, men and women shouldn't be too intimate. You can't sleep with me anymore. You won't like me anymore if I take human form, sister. The little golden dragon was so angry his horns popped out. I found it amusing, yet couldn't bear to speak harshly to him. In the end, I settled on a compromise, allowing him to continue sleeping beside me in his beast form. This arrangement lasted over half a month, but today, for some reason, the little rascal brought up the old matter again, insisting on sleeping with me in human form. Chen, he cut me off mid-sentence. I know, sis, you're going to say men and women shouldn't be too intimate again. His tail stealthily coiled around my waist once more, but I like Chen center, the kind of liking between a man and a woman, not the kind for a sister. My face grew warm, and just as I was about to speak, a rustling sound came from the window. Chen and I turned to look, only to find Bai Qi there. He was in a wretched state, covered in blood and filth, with one of his front paws gripping the window frame twisted and bent outward. When he looked at me, his dark eyes were filled with pleading, slightly annoyed. I walked over and opened the window. Unexpectedly, Bai Qi seized the chance to try and squeeze inside, rubbing his head against my dress and leaving behind smears of blood and mud. How disgusting. I hastily backed away, only to see Bai Qi lying on the ground before me, belly and neck exposed in a vulnerable display, making repeated gestures of submission. In my past life, I exhausted myself for him, even neglecting my own needs, always wanting to give him the best. Yet he was so cold-hearted, not even allowing me to touch his fur. I thought it was just his nature to dislike closeness, but now I see it was only because I spoiled him too much. Nurturing that arrogant temperament that knows no hardship, this lifetime, Bai Qi has gotten his wish and is now with his little Snow, yet here he is, shamelessly crawling back to curry favor with me, which honestly turns my stomach. Does your master know you're acting this shamelessly, belly up and begging for my touch? A useless, sickly cat like you. Don't tell me you actually dream of replacing my Chen as my contracted beast. Before Bai Qi could react, Chen exploded first. Stinking dead cat, daring to seduce my sister, just watch how I'll smash you to death. Chen transformed into his dragon form, grabbing Bai Qi as he soared into the sky. With a flick of his tail, he flew straight toward Liu Rushua's residence. Given Liu Rushua's temperament, if she found out her contracted beast had come to fawn over me, he'd probably end up with a brutal beating. I didn't feel the slightest pity for him, after all. My little golden dragon had just seemed to confess to me. How to respond to him was something I still needed to think over carefully. After being reborn, my relationship with my master has grown even closer than before. He always thinks of me, and I often visit him for no particular reason. Chen's confession has been giving me a headache. Since that day, the little golden dragon has been clinging to my bed every night. He starts off in his adorable dragon form when we go to sleep. But by morning, I always wake up to find a tall, handsome man wrapping all four limbs around me. I can't bear to say a harsh word to him, let alone hit him. To avoid Chen, I tried staying overnight at a junior sister's place, only to be told before bed that he was waiting for me at the foot of the mountain. Even though I know his dragon heritage makes him impervious to the cold night frost, the thought of him pouting at the crossroads always softens my heart. At my wit's end, I seized the chance when my master invited me for snacks to bring up the matter, hoping he could offer some advice. I never expected Chen to harbor such thoughts. I sighed heavily while nibbling on the Osmanthus cake my master had specially prepared for me. The old man just chuckled, stroking his beard, looking nothing like my troubled self. What's the big deal? Why get so worked up? Chen isn't a child anymore, don't forget. Their dragon clan ages slowly. He was already 300 years old when I brought him to our sect. I froze, suddenly finding the Osmanthus cake in my mouth tasteless. What's the matter? Just because that kid follows you around calling you sister every day, you really think he's just a child? My master burst into laughter at my reaction. My face burned crimson, and I was speechless for a long moment. Seeing me like this, the old man let out another heavy sigh. I raised you. Don't think I don't know what's on your mind. In your past life, you probably felt the same way about that white tiger, didn't you? I fell silent, momentarily at a loss for how to respond. I couldn't refute my master's words. In my past life, my heart and eyes were wholly devoted to Bai Qi. I spared no expense in giving him the best of everything: food, clothing, daily necessities. Even if it meant tightening my own belt, I never refused any of his requests. No matter how distant or indifferent he remained toward me, Such indulgence, if I were to claim it stemmed solely from a beastmaster's affection for their spiritual companion, even I wouldn't believe it. My master reached out and gently tousled my hair. A center. Don't let someone else's mistakes narrow the path of your own life. I lowered my head in thought for a moment, then suddenly felt a surge of clarity in my heart. In this lifetime, the devotion I've poured into Jin Chen is no less than what I gave Bai Qi in the previous one. If I could fall for that ungrateful wretch Bai Qi, there's no reason I wouldn't be moved by a handsome and considerate man like Jin Chen. To put it bluntly, it's just that having lived through this once before, I've ultimately lost some of the fearless courage I had in my previous life. Thank you, Master. Our center understands. The little old man looked at me with kindness. Waving his hand to signal me to go back, I turned my head and only then noticed Jin Chen waiting for me outside the hall. The man stood against the light, his handsome features somewhat blurred, save for those golden eyes, bright, like the night of rebirth when I lay alone in the yard drinking, only to look up and discover a sky full of stars. He reached out his hand to me, a breeze blew past, lifting his long golden hair as if it had been gilded with light. Sister, I heard him say, let's go. I'll take you home. It was another year for the sect's grand competition, and a week earlier, my master had already given me the order. This year's sect competition, now that you're of age, you must take A Chen with you. The opponents are unlike before. Most of your senior brothers and sisters have spent years bonding with their spirit beasts. Their synergy is extraordinary. You must not let your guard down. I hadn't even said anything yet, but Jin Chen beside me was already displeased. Master, my sister and I also have great chemistry, he said, taking my hand with a somewhat smug expression. Senior brother and sister's bond with their spirit beasts can't compare to our kind of relationship. I massaged my temples, half tempted to grab a rag and stuff it in his mouth, but our master found this utterly delightful. Good, good, your master believes in you. This time you must know. You absolutely must take first place, accompany a center, and after this grand competition, your old master can finally retire and pass the torch. The sect competition wasn't particularly challenging for me. In fact, most of the senior disciples with higher cultivation levels were usually out gaining experience and wouldn't specifically return for the competition. The disciples who remained in the sect were mostly no match for me in terms of cultivation. And even the few who could hold their own against me were far inferior when it came to spiritual beasts compared to Jin Chen. On the third day of the competition, I encountered an unexpected opponent. To my surprise, Liu Rushue and Bai Qi had actually managed to squeeze into the top 30, and through the pre-match draw, they were paired against me. Liu Rushue was dressed as usual, in white robes, maintaining her delicate and frail demeanor. Bai Qi's appearance, however, truly shocked me. At some unknown time, he had already successfully taken human form, wearing a moon-white robe with his snow-white hair tied high into a ponytail at the back. Unlike the cold sternness of his previous life, this incarnation carried more gloom between his brows. In several encounters, his dark eyes seemed clouded with unrelieved red veins. According to a familiar junior sister, Bai Qi's injuries had completely healed now. Moreover, his strength had increased dramatically within just a few days. And he had already become a high-level divine beast. Yesterday in the arena, when he faced junior brother's Snow Wolf, he suppressed it so thoroughly that it couldn't even fight back. Senior sister, you didn't see it. Yesterday Bai Qi tore off a piece of flesh from Ai's shoulder as big as my palm, then swallowed it down with bloodshot eyes. He didn't look like a spiritual beast at all, more like some uncivilized wild beast. My heart tightened, and I patted Jin Chen's arm, signaling him to be extremely careful when he entered the arena. To save time, the sect competition always had 3 arenas battling simultaneously, and soon it was our turn. Liu Rushue gripped her sword, her face brimming with smugness. Senior sister might not know yet, but my Bai Qi is now a high-tier divine beast too. I didn't respond. There was something truly sinister about Liu Rushue and Bai Qi. Though I looked down on them from the bottom of my heart, I dared not let my guard down. Bai Qi no longer cowers timidly behind Liu Rushue as he used to, yet those pitch-black eyes of his remain fixed on me with an unsettling intensity, sending chills down my spine. Our center, I suddenly hear him speak, calling my name. If I defeat this serpent, let me become your contracted spirit beast. All right, in this lifetime, I will surely protect you completely. Bai Qi stares at me unblinking, his eyes brimming with a nauseating depth of affection. It seems Bai Qi has likely regained memories from his past life. After how he treated me in that past life, now that he's regained his memories, he actually dares to dream of replacing Jin Chen as my contracted spirit beast. Utterly revolting. I immediately felt nauseous and couldn't help retching a few times. Hearing Bai Chi's words, Jin Chen's face instantly darkened, looking exactly like someone who'd had his wife stolen. Go to hell, you damn snake, you're the real snake here. This young master is a proper golden dragon. How dare a little kitten like you try to steal my wife? Watch me beat you to death. Jin Chen let out a furious roar and instantly transformed into a golden dragon, charging fiercely toward Bai Chi. Bai Chi also roared, shifting into a white tiger and grappling with Jin Chen. After steadying myself to observe for a moment, I realized my junior sister hadn't exaggerated in the slightest. Bai Chi's dark eyes were now bloodshot. His movements ruthless and decisive as he lunged at Jin Chen. When Jin Chen's claws tore a bloody gash across his back, the scent of blood seemed to drive him into a frenzy, as if he'd completely lost his reason. I couldn't help but feel uneasy, my grip on my sword loosening slightly. Distracted, I failed to notice Liu Rushua's sword aura in time, and a lock of my hair was severed. Senior sister, why are you staring at my Bai Chi? Surely you don't actually believe he'd betray me to become your contracted beast? Liu Rushua's once delicate face was now twisted with jealousy and hatred as she lunged at me with her sword. I snapped back to attention and sidestepped the attack. Asenta, I'm fine, don't get distracted because of me. Jin Chen had also been keeping an eye on my situation. Noticing my lapse, he knocked Bai Chi to the ground with a swing of his tail before urgently turning his gaze toward me. I nodded, swiftly twirling my sword into an elegant flourish before raising it to strike at Liu Rushua. Liu Rushua is both lazy and stupid. Even if she practiced for another 10 years, she wouldn't come close to matching me. I couldn't be bothered to fight her properly, so I simply kicked her off the stage. Meanwhile, the situation between Jin Chen and Bai Chi was slightly more intense. I was somewhat surprised. Setting aside racial talents, Jin Chen had reached the high level half a year earlier than Bai Chi. Logically, defeating Bai Chi shouldn't have been difficult, yet now, the two were locked in a fierce struggle. Though Jin Chen wasn't at a disadvantage, judging by his injuries, he wasn't faring much better either. There's no chivalry on the fighting stage, especially when the opponent is Bai Chi. Without hesitation, I drew my sword and joined the battle. Jin Chen and I indeed had perfect synergy. Bai Chi was no match for the two of us and quickly fell into a disadvantage. The moment my sword pierced his flesh, I saw his eyes turn bloodshot as he stared at me in utter disbelief. Asenta, how could you do this to me? In our past life, you'd fret over me for half a day if I so much as scraped my knee while training. His whining grated on my nerves. If the sect tournament hadn't forbidden fatal injuries, I would have gladly slit his throat right then. Bai Chi truly couldn't read the room, still yammering on without end, taking Jin Chen's hand. I walked off the arena without so much as a backward glance. After the sect's grand competition, unsurprisingly, Jin Chen and I emerged as the champions. My master intended to travel the world and planned to pass the position of sect leader to me in a month. Jin Chen kept pestering me to marry him, and tired of his daily wheedling, I had no choice but to agree. I managed to swindle a bag of high-grade spirit stones from my master before leaving. Just before departing, I brought up Bai Chi's strange transformation that day. It's so bizarre. Just a week before the competition, someone saw Bai Chi fetching meals for Liu Rushua, still looking weak and utterly pathetic. Yet by the time of the competition, it was as if he'd become a completely different beast. The old man, unusually serious without his usual playful grin, let out a rather heavy sigh. After investigating with the other elders, we found that Liu Rushua fed Bai Chi a secret elixir. This elixir could temporarily boost his abilities significantly, but as the saying goes, everything in this world comes at a price. Now, Bai Chi's body is severely weakened. He's not even comparable to an ordinary white tiger %E2% 80% 94, let alone a spirit beast. In my century of beast taming, I've never seen a beast master treat their spirit beast so cruelly. Bai Chi is completely ruined now. My master, kind-hearted as ever, still couldn't bear to see Bai Chi in such a state. Jin Chen, however, wasn't so forgiving. Those few words Bai Chi had spoken that day, which seemed to reveal his feelings, had thoroughly angered this petty golden dragon. With a cold snort, he stubbornly turned his head away, refusing to look at us. Understanding the situation, I quickly reached out to stroke his long hair, soothing him. He deserved it. You're my favorite. Jin Chen's expression finally softened a bit as she pulled at me, whining and cooing to go back. After bidding farewell to the master, we walked back hand in hand. Along the way, I was still preoccupied with thoughts about the secret medicine. Jin Chen called out to me several times, but I mostly didn't hear her, and even when I did, my responses were just perfunctory murmurs. Once we entered the room, I was snapped out of my thoughts when the tall man wrapped his arms around me. It took me a while to realize Jin Chen's handsome face was as dark as coal, his entire body radiating an "I'm very unhappy" aura, which made me feel somewhat guilty. "Sister, who were you thinking about? That sickly cat?" Jin Chen hadn't called me that in so long. His single utterance of "sister" made my legs go weak, and I instinctively tried to retreat, only for him to tighten his embrace around me. The man's features were strikingly handsome, when he usually acted coquettish with me. I never paid it much mind, but today, in his anger, I realized his entire face carried an aggressively attractive edge, with just the slightest arch of his brows. Those golden eyes of his held an unfathomable danger. I forced out a dry laugh. How could I possibly think of? Before I could finish speaking, he lowered his head and kissed me. Between tangled lips, he chuckled softly, demanding I open my eyes to look at him. I met those golden eyes brimming with shimmering intensity, my heart melting into utter softness. Before I knew it, he had wrapped an arm around my waist and carried me to the bed. Pressing down on me, he pinned my wrists above my head with one hand while the other loosened my outer robe, his fingers venturing inside with an icy touch that made me shiver involuntarily. In response, he kissed me deeper, his magnified features as breathtaking as ever. Dazed by his kisses, I could only whisper his name in a daze. "A Chen." He sucked on my lips and tongue, panting softly in my ear, then chuckled low when he felt me go weak in his arms. "Sister, A Center." Jin Chen kissed my eyelids. "Madam, my grand wedding with Jin Chen was scheduled to take place after the sect leader inauguration ceremony. My master packed his belongings and, after drinking our wedding wine, prepared to wander the world." Though reluctant to see him go, seeing the old man's cheerful demeanor, I could only gather a large quantity of elixirs and magical artifacts for him to take along. Originally planning to have one last lively gathering before my master's departure, I wanted to ensure no mishaps occurred during the wedding and inauguration. Yet, overwhelmed by recent events and exhaustion, just as I changed into my wedding robes after the ceremony, I was ambushed from behind. In the last second before losing consciousness, only one thought flashed through my mind: to hell with Bai Qi. Sure enough, when I opened my eyes again, standing before me was Bai Qi, already emaciated to the point of being skin and bones, likely a side effect of the secret elixir. Bai Qi looked even frailer than when we first met, though he had tried his best to present himself decently. The badly worn sleeves of his robe and his skeletal frame spoke volumes about how poorly he must have fared during this time, and rightly so. Even the most unrefined cultivators in the world disdain such dirty tricks as secret elixirs, and we righteous disciples have always looked down on them. During the grand competition, Bai Qi, emboldened by his enhanced strength, showed no restraint. Apart from Jin Chen, nearly every spirit beast he faced was beaten beyond recognition. It was only natural that after the elixir's effects wore off, he must have faced severe retribution. At this moment, I was tightly bound and tied to the only chair in the room that wasn't missing arms or legs. Bai Qi, seeing I was awake, crouched before me, his eyes filled with an almost mad obsession. "Our center, you look so beautiful in wedding attire. In our past life, we couldn't stay together till the end. In this life, be with me. Okay, I'll do everything in my power to protect you. Our center, I love you." I wrinkled my nose in disgust and spat on his face without hesitation. "Take a good look at yourself. Maya Chen could crush you with just a finger. With your sorry state, you still dare to dream of winning my heart. Don't delude yourself." My words were harsh, and I couldn't even be bothered to pretend with him. Bai Qi had nothing good on him. The knockout drug he gave me probably only lasted long enough for me to black out. I flexed my limbs slightly and easily broke free from the hemp rope he'd used to tie me up. "Stupid cat, you didn't actually think this piece of junk rope could hold me, did you?" Bai Qi's expression darkened as he took a few steps forward, seemingly intent on restraining me again. I scoffed and kicked him to the ground, planting a foot on his chest. "Worthless." He suddenly burst into tears, crying out, "How could this be, a center? It shouldn't be like this. You must have forgotten our past. That's why you're treating me this way, a center. In our past life, it was me you made a pact with. I was your only beloved. You cherished me, protected me, never allowed anyone to humiliate me even slightly. A center, wake up." "And then what?" I let out a cold laugh and drew the flexible sword from my waist, pressing it against Bai Qi's neck. His expression suddenly turned somewhat guilty. After hesitating for a moment, he finally stammered out, Then you married me. Then, at the ceremony for my succession as sect leader, you killed me and got together with Liu Rushua." I interrupted him and calmly stated the truth. The drawn sword instead pierced the woman who had tried to attack me from behind. Liu Rushua's eyes were full of disbelief as she collapsed, clutching her severed right arm, just as I had in my past life. You already know. You remember too, don't you? I didn't respond. Under his pleading, humbled gaze, I simply drew my sword across his throat. At the instant blood gushed forth. I bid farewell to my former self from the past life. My dear Chen Center, don't waste your hatred on an unworthy white tiger anymore. In this life, your lover is a stingy golden dragon, handsome, powerful, unreasonable, and fond of acting spoiled. Right now, he's sulking by the doorway because he didn't get to personally slay the white tiger that kidnapped his bride. In this life, you are blissfully happy, with everything going your way, so don't be afraid to love truly. Truly is a wonderful thing. I pushed the door open and stepped out, amusedly tapping his head. Let's go, let's get married.